The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
Vitamin Water was born in New York because New Yorkers wanted more. Like more flavor to go with all the flavor. A refreshing drink after climbing 6 flights of stairs to a walk-up apartment, or standing in the subway station in 100-degree heat. Focus when I have an 8-hour shift. And XXX after I was out all night at a club. Call XXX. Drink vitamin water. It's from New York.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Here are your hosts, Steve Collins and Greg Berg.
All right, welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast, episode 4. Not my favorite number yet, Coach. Waiting. Yet. I know people are going to wonder when we hit it. We'll hit it before the first of the year. I'll tell you that. So we're going to talk about traits of leaders. There's lots of traits.
There's lots. I've written about this a lot, and I posted a lot about this. And this was actually one of my, this is one that I wrote about. It's also something that I've built into my whole Team Leader OS, my course that I've created as well. But I really think 9 key traits of leaders. I'll go through them quick, and then you jump right in. But number 1 is work ethic. Leaders you have to lead by example. You have to be one of the hardest workers on your team. You have to have that work ethic before you think about trying to lead other people. Number 2 is this concept of trust. Coaches have to trust you. Your teammates have to trust you. There's so many times where as coaches, we think a kid should be the best leader on the team and they don't have the ear of the team. Their voice is not there. And so that trust is a big part.
And then before we go on, I always tell my players, if I don't trust you, I can't play you. Like I have
Absolutely.
to trust you to know that you're going to do stuff. And that's part of that leadership, that they're all leaders. I agree. Yes.
100%. They have to be we first kids. You mentioned it in an earlier show. When you really get into leadership, it's interesting because to lead yourself first, it's all about you. Like when you lead yourself, your whole focus is on being the best version of you can. But when you start leading other people, you got to shift. And people don't think of it that way. But if you really become a servant leader, you're able to think about the team and everyone else. You have to have that we first mindset to lead. I'd say that's the third one. 4th is just this great competitive spirit. We mentioned it in the captain class, but your leaders have to have a competitive spirit. They have to really have that drive, that little edge, that desire to win. I think
so
that's
before we go on
important.
further with that one, how do I know, like I'm watching, how do I know competitive spirit? How do I know that as a coach?
I mean, try play cards with your family, right? That's what we talked about last week.
Yes.
That competitive spirit, it's in practice and games. They just, you see it with the energy. You see it in practice. If we put competition out there for kids, you see who your competitors are right away. And
I agree.
To me, that's one thing I've done as a coach.
So people that are listening to this might be old enough to remember the Energizer Bunny that would never stop and would always keep going. That's a it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter. They're competitive in everything.
And I kind of feel when you were talking about your family playing cards and board games the other day, that's mine. I mean, I get together and we have when I get my extended family together, man, it's fun, but I'm incredibly competitive. I hate losing. I think all good coaches have that spirit. Your leaders have to have that on your team as well.
Yeah. And I tell the kids, I tell my players too, that like, if you're competitive, you're getting good grades. And they look at me like, I go, school's a game, man.
Absolutely.
Like you want to learn, but it's also a game. And how do you win the game? It's like, I said, that's why school was easy for me. I mean, I had maybe put more time in than some people, but I was going to be competitive. It's like, I said, how are you not competitive in your classes? So that I
agree. It all carries over. And I mean, you can't be not competitive in certain areas of your life and then all of a sudden turn it on the basketball court. Right. I mean, that's just not how it works. And I think great leaders, the fifth trait, are connectors of people. You know, leaders include everyone on the team. They know that least common denominator on your team is the one that is going to make or break your season or your team. And you have to include and bring everyone in, because that one kid who maybe you don't hang out with a lot, isn't your friend off the court, if he or she does not feel connected on your team, that's what's going to ultimately hurt your team. I mean, we know we've all had very talented teams, but the teams that go the furthest are your most connected teams. I mean, talent gets you so far. Leadership, connection, and culture puts you over the top. And so your leaders have to be connectors on your team. Bought into the culture. I think culture is another buzzword that we can talk about at length here, but your leaders have to be gatekeepers of your culture. They have to be bought into what you are selling as a coach. That you have to be on the same page with your leaders, and they have a critical role in that. Eighth, your leaders have to be able to hold others accountable. This is the hardest thing for high school kids. How do I hold my teammates accountable? How do I raise the standard for our team when it's my friend, when it's my teammate? That's what separates great leaders apart from others.
And give a couple golden nuggets on that for coaches that are listening to this, or basketball coaches.
I mean, the Carla, I go back to the Captain Class book, Carla Overbeck. I mean, she was relentless with her. There's a story of her called Carry the Luggage. It's probably a whole nother podcast here, but Bottom line, she was a servant leader. She carried all the luggage of her teammates from the bus to the hotel every single time. Captain leader of the team, did it for the rookies, the first year players. Her coach said she did that because when they got on the field, she refused to let anyone work below a standard that she worked herself. And so she built this relationship with all of her teammates so that she could hold them accountable when she needed to on the field or on the court. Holding accountable is about doing what's best for the team and not yourself. And so your best leaders are able to hold their other friends and teammates accountable on the court. It's just,
they're the ones that are always at open gyms. They're the ones that are there early. They're the ones that stay after practice. They're the ones that are picking up the locker. There's all 100% agree. 100% agree.
Yep.
They're also the ones that fix it, that help before it's an issue. Like,
absolutely,
it's like they remind them to box out, but they don't yell at them after they didn't box out. That's what, in my opinion, that's what I always tell my leaders. I go, if Sam didn't box out, it's not like you should have reminded Sam before the free throw, not after. Like, it doesn't do any good after. It's like you miss curfew. It's like you gotta tell him to box out, and it's how you do it, and it's how you speak to your teammates. And part of that as coaches that are listening to this, we have to help them with that process of how to do that.
And it's honestly, that's my biggest pet peeve as a coach with other coaches. And I've seen a lot of coaches who, they'll yell after the fact. They're not teaching. They're not giving feedback to the kids. They're reacting because the kid didn't do something that they didn't remind them to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's your job as a coach.
Right.
I've got some great stories on that from when I was a football coach that still resonate with me today and really define who I am as a coach. But, and then lastly, the ninth trait is kind of the pinnacle of leadership in my mind, and that's the ability to inspire. I think the best teachers are ones who inspire their teammates. The best coaches inspire. The best player leaders inspire greatness from others. And they bring out, you think of the Magic Johnsons, they make other players better. They inspire them with their play and their connectedness and all of that. So that's
some of the coaches that are listening to this, you need to like I'm a salesman. Like, I got to convince, like, they can feel me. It's like part of me leading them too is I got to inspire them into let's go. We can that'll be my next couple months before the season starts will be how am I going to do that? All right. So I got 8 there, Coach. Go through them again. I think I missed one. So one is what? I think I missed one.
I might have missed one too. Work ethic.
Yep.
Building trust.
Yep.
Having a we over me mindset, a competitive spirit, being a connector of other people, buying into the culture and being a gatekeeper. Maybe I blended those together, but number one, you did.
So you have to. And gatekeepers are different. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, but you have to buy into the culture and then you have to be a gatekeeper. And there's a lot of people that are gatekeepers. And then holding others accountable and the ability to inspire.
What do you think is before we end here, and we're both coaches. What do you think is the hardest for maybe a high school or a junior high kid of this list?
Holding others accountable without question.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do.
It's the biggest challenge, but this is where, and we're going to dive a lot into this. It is our job as coaches to train and develop and build our kids to be leaders. I think all too often as coaches, we wait and wish and hope for leaders to show up instead of systemically and purposely developing them from a very young age so that by the time they get to the varsity level, when we have them and they have to hold someone accountable, it's easier because we've built them up and we're basically guiding them to this process where, they're so committed, they're bought in that if they don't, they know it's going to sacrifice the team and it's going to sacrifice their own personal growth. And so I think leadership has to be purposeful, and the development of that is really important for us as coaches.
I do too. And I'm going to tell you, this is from an old dog, a porch dog. Coach-led teams are not what you want.
Never.
I've had teams that I've had to do that because we literally didn't have any, and we weren't as successful as we should have been. So I'm looking at these lists. Hopefully all the coaches that are listening are doing these too. However, for the team to be successful, one of the participants has to follow these 9.
Without question. And actually, I had it on my notes when we started this whole thing. Player-led teams win. I think that's why we're doing this whole leadership podcast, because the fact of the matter is player-led teams win. We all know that. How do we get that?
Right.
Like as a veteran coach, that's what I strive for each and every year. How do I get a player-led team where I can step back? Because when I can step back and let them take over, we're going to have great things happen.
I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you right now for the coaches listening, it's like hitting that perfect golf shot. It's like getting that from someone who's fishing. It's like getting that big fish on the line. It's like lightning in a bottle. And I've had it a handful of times in my 35 years and won a couple championships because of it. It's like you keep hunting for it, because when it happens, it's pretty.
It's special.
You're just I'm a participant. I get to just go along for the ride. This ain't my gig. I know.
And I've had it a few times as well. And they've been state tournament teams when they've happened. Last year, we had a team that deserved it, did everything right and had it. And we got our heart torn out in our section championship game. But that was a team that did everything right and had a chance to win it all. And sometimes
I'm going to tell you, Coach, I mean, we haven't talked about this too. No matter my best teams have not necessarily won the state championships.
Yep.
It's a bounce here. I mean, you got to be.
They have to go your way.
Want to hear this. There's a little luck involved, people. There's a little luck involved. Like who you match up with, who broke up with their girlfriend. It's like there's just,
it's an energy, but it almost always centers on leadership culture, and connection.
It does.
With luck, but yeah.
I know. A little bit of luck. All right. Till next week, Coach.